You are not getting what you want. You are getting what you are. There is a difference. And until you see it, every attempt to change your life will fail before it begins. You can work harder. You can change strategies. You can rebuild your routine. It will not change the result. Because the result is not produced by what you do. It is produced by who you are when you do it. You believe effort changes outcomes, that if you push harder, the world responds. That is partially true, and it is also why you keep losing. Effort does not change identity. Identity is what selects the outcome that arrives. You are not failing to change your circumstances. You are succeeding at being the person whose circumstances look exactly like this. This is the part most people refuse to see, because the moment they see it, they have to stop blaming effort and start examining configuration. The Hermeticists named a principle 2,000 years ago. The Kybalion calls it cause and effect. Most people think the cause is the action. It is not. The action is the visible piece. The cause is the configuration of self that produced the action. You did not decide to procrastinate. The version of you in that moment was the kind of person who hesitates. You did not decide to settle. The version of you in that moment was the kind of person whose ceiling was already set. Action is not the cause. Action is the effect of identity meeting moment. This is why two people with the same opportunity produce different results. Not because of effort, because of who they were standing inside the opportunity. The person you are right now, your inner posture, your silent expectation, your sense of what is normal, is already producing the next 12 months of your life. You will not change those months through action. You will change them through configuration. Watch yourself. When you walk into a room, your body has already decided how visible you will be in it. Not consciously. The shoulders, the eye direction, the internal volume, all set before you spoke a word. When a message arrives, the version of you that opens it has already decided whether you are someone who responds within an hour or someone who lets it sit until guilt arrives. When an opportunity appears, your identity is already filtering it. It tells you, before you even consider it, whether it is for you or for someone else. You think you are deciding. You are recognizing. You are recognizing what fits the configuration you brought into the moment. Anything that does not match is rejected before it reaches conscious thought. That rejection feels like instinct. It is not instinct. It is identity refusing what would require it to become something else. If you value understanding the structure operating beneath your own decisions, subscribe. These conversations are not isolated. They build. And here is where the architecture becomes visible. Identity is not one thing. It operates in 3 layers. Understand them, and you can locate where the actual cause lives. The first layer is what you say about yourself. I am a careful person. I am someone who finishes what I start. I am someone who has bad luck with relationships. You believe these sentences are descriptions. They are not descriptions. They are commands. The subconscious takes every repeated sentence about the self and treats it as instruction. Then it begins to produce evidence to confirm it. This is the surface layer, the layer most people work on, the layer that produces almost no change, because the layer beneath it is still issuing the original order. The second layer is what you feel about yourself when you are not performing for anyone. In the small moments between tasks, when you catch your own reflection, when you wake before the alarm, there is a sense of you that is silent and certain. That sense is far more powerful than what you say. It tells the world, without words, what you actually expect. This is the layer that produces the small posture of your day, the way you sit, the way you breathe, the way you pause. Everyone around you reads this layer, even when you are silent. The third layer is who you are when no choice is being made. The resting configuration, the version of you that exists when you are not trying to be anything, the default. This is the layer the world responds to. This is the layer that produces results. And this is the layer almost no one examines, because examining it requires being still in a way modern life is built to prevent. When you finally sit with yourself, without phone, without task, without performance, the version of you that appears is the cause of your life, not the polished one, not the aspirational one, the one that is left when nothing is being held up. And here is what almost no one understands about how identity actually operates. It does not produce results through action. It produces results through perception. This is the Atkinson principle of mental atmosphere. Your identity does not push the world to behave a certain way. It filters the world before you see it. The same day brings the same possibilities to different people. What they perceive depends entirely on who they are when the day arrives. The person whose identity is, I am someone who is overlooked, walks past 3 opportunities and notices none of them. Not because the opportunities were hidden, because his perception was set to skip what does not match him. The person whose identity is, I am someone things happen to, finds reasons in every event to confirm she is being acted upon, not because life is acting upon her, because her configuration filters every event through that lens. Identity does not need to make you act. It only needs to control what you see. What you do not see, you cannot act on. What you do not believe is possible, you do not pursue. What you do not feel is normal, you reject as foreign. The cause is not what you do. The cause is what your identity has allowed you to perceive in the first place. This is why 2 people inside the same circumstance walk away with 2 different lives. The circumstance was the same, the reception was not. To change your results, you do not need a better plan. You need a different version of yourself standing inside the plan. This is why books and courses do not produce change for most people. They install new information into an unchanged identity. The identity uses the information to reinforce itself. You read about discipline, and the version of you that is undisciplined adds discipline to its list of things it is bad at. You read about confidence, and the version of you that is uncertain adds confidence to its list of things it lacks. The information was useful. The configuration receiving it was not. To replace the cause, you do not need more. You need to dissolve a version of you that has been intact for decades. Most people will not do this, not because it is hard, because it requires standing for a time without an identity at all. That interval is uncomfortable. The rehearsed self insists on returning. It says, this is not who you are. It says, be reasonable. It says, you are losing yourself. You are not losing yourself. You are losing a self. Stay through that interval. That is where replacement actually completes. If the identity does not change, the next 10 years are already written. You will move cities. The pattern will follow. You will change jobs. The ceiling will follow. You will end relationships and begin new ones. The same conflicts will arrive. The decorations of your life will change. The configuration will not. In 10 years, you will tell yourself the same stories, with newer dates, different names, the same theme. You will look back and notice the repetition, and you will call it pattern. It is not pattern. It is identity, continuing to do its job. So when? Not when you have more time. The version of you with more time will be the same version, not when you have more clarity. Clarity without dissolution is decoration, not when conditions improve. Conditions are produced by the configuration you have not yet changed. The only moment available is this one, the moment you stop trying to change your life and start changing the person whose life it is. Comment this, I am the cause, not as a slogan, as recognition, because most people work on what they do. Few ever examine who they are while doing it. You did not need a better life. You needed a different self standing inside the one you already have. And the moment that self begins to shift, the same world starts to behave differently. Not because the world changed, because you finally stopped showing up as the version of you that produced the life you say you want to leave.